All right, let's talk about the art of the audit. We're going to shift our thinking here from just being a box checker to becoming a real investigator. Because our job isn't just to see if people are following the rules, it's to find the truth. So, you've done your homework, right? You've got your schedule all mapped out, you've reviewed the procedures, and you've got a really solid checklist ready to go. You're prepared. But you and I both know there's a huge gap between being prepared and finding out what really happens day to day.
Because, let's be honest, when an auditor walks in the room, everyone suddenly knows the right answer. They're prepared for you. So this is what we're tackling today. How do you peel back that prepared layer and see the process as it actually is? More to know.
And the investigation, funnily enough, doesn't start with a document or a logbook. It starts with psychology. Seriously, your success or failure can be decided in the first 5 minutes, just by how you handle the people in the room. Before you even glance at a file, you kick things off with a quick opening meeting. Now, this isn't just a formality, this is a tactical move. Your number one goal is to bring the anxiety level in the room way, way down. Why? Because a nervous person is a defensive person, and you will not get the real story. And here is the magic phrase you need to use. You look them in the eye and say this. You're immediately reframing the whole thing. It's not you versus them, it's not an interrogation, it's us looking at the process to make it better. Suddenly, you're on their team, and that changes absolutely everything. Okay, so you've set the right tone. Now you can actually start gathering some evidence. And your most powerful tool, by far, is the way you ask your questions. And check this out, it's a perfect example. A closed question like, do you calibrate the balance, is always going to get you a yes. And what have you learned? Literally nothing. But when you ask an open-ended question like, can you show me how? Well, now they have to actually do it. They have to prove they know what they're doing. You're not just hearing about it, you're seeing it with your own eyes. Now, here's a pro-level move for you. After you ask one of those great open-ended questions and they give you their answer, just wait. Don't say a word. Be quiet. It's amazing what happens. People get so uncomfortable with silence that they just start talking to fill the void. And that's when the good stuff comes out. The little workarounds, the exceptions, the story about that one time it didn't work.
So you're asking better questions, but what kind of answers are you actually looking for? It's simple, really. You're looking for proof. Cold, hard, objective proof.
See, in our world, there are two kinds of evidence. There's subjective stuff, what a manager promised, a rumor, a gut feeling. That's all hearsay. It's useless. Then there's objective evidence. That's the real deal. The signed and dated logbook, the validated data, watching someone perform the task correctly. It's fact, not feeling. And this brings us to the absolute golden rule of any regulated GXP environment. If it's not written down, it didn't happen. Period. If an employee tells you they clean the equipment, but the log is blank, well, as far as compliance is concerned, that equipment is dirty. That written record is the only thing that counts as legal proof.
So how do you get to that rock-solid level of objective proof? Well, investigators use a really cool method called triangulation. You never ever take one piece of evidence at face value. You always confirm it from at least 3 different angles to make sure all the stories match up. And here's how it works in the real world. First, you ask the person how they do their job, then you observe them actually do it, and finally, you check the records and the official procedure to see if everything lines up. Does what they said match what they did, and does that match what the paper says? If yes, boom, objective proof. If no, you've just found something. Okay, so you know how to get the proof, but here's the next problem. You can't check everything. There's just too much stuff. So you need a strategy, a way to find the problems without burning out.
I mean, picture this scenario. You're faced with a mountain of 5,000 prescription records. How in the world are you supposed to find the needles in that haystack? Just pulling files at random is a waste of time, and you'll probably miss the really big issues. The key is to stop thinking randomly and start thinking like a hunter. This is what we call judgmental sampling or risk-based sampling. Instead of grabbing any old file, you use your professional brain, your expertise, to target the specific areas where things are most likely to go wrong. You're making an educated guess about where the problems are probably hiding. So where do you aim? Well, you always want to look at work done by new employees. They're still on the learning curve. Definitely check records from night shifts or weekends when there's usually less supervision. And for sure, always pull the records for any batch that had a deviation or needed to be reworked. These are the hot spots. And this whole process is getting a serious tech upgrade. Today, we have these advanced data analysis tools, like Salsa that you see here, that can crunch huge amounts of data. They can spot weird outliers and statistical anomalies, basically pointing a giant red arrow at the high-risk areas you need to investigate. So when you put all of these pieces together, you really do fundamentally change what you're doing. You stop being just a person with the checklist, and you become a genuine investigator. Let's just quickly recap the playbook. You set the tone and lower the defenses in that opening meeting. You ask how, not if, with open-ended questions. You demand proof, objective proof, using triangulation. And you hunt for risk like a pro using judgmental sampling. That's the toolkit right there. And that really brings us to the most important point of all. The goal here isn't just to find what's wrong. It's to find opportunities to make things better. When you uncover those gaps between the written procedure and what's really happening, you're not just a cop. You are a critical partner in making the entire system stronger, safer, and better for everyone.